Hey everyone, this week I'm talking to you about the Bade'e Al Oud line from Lattafa. I think it's one of the biggest hype beasts in the fragrance community, and I've got some thoughts. Stay tuned. So I'm just going to go through in release order, give you my thoughts, and then I'll have a little bit of sum up. And I'm going to keep this one shorter than the last few videos, I promise. So starting out, we've got Oud for Glory. This one is, as I'm sure everyone knows, a clone of Oud for Greatness from Initio. I've never smelled that one, though my understanding is it has less nutmeg than this one. So I've had this for about a year, and I'll say I've worn it a couple of times. I think it smells really good, actually. I think it's got that Western sort of oud smell to it, which if you haven't smelled, to me, it comes across kind of like a leathery rubber. Specifically not a rubbery leather, but a leathery rubber. So it's like a really clean, kind of rubber vibe with this kind of saffrony leather note on top of it. And in this particular composition, I feel like then there's also this dose of nutmeg on top of it. I really like that for the fall and the winter. I think that leans into the scent profile itself. And in terms of the quality, I think it's really good. It lasts a long time. The bottle is nice. Everything about this is nice. So why don't I wear it more? Well, I think one of the reasons is because my wife isn't really wild about it. But I think the other reason is that it's just not that exciting to me, in spite of the fact that it smells good, performs well, presentation is good, though it is like a straight rip-off. It's still done very well. You can have a straight rip-off that is done poorly, fragrance world. But the Lattafa stuff, at least, you know, it's a respectable quality bottle, good juice, good value. It's just not that exciting to me, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is about it. I'm gonna give it more wearings this fall. I think part of the reason was last fall and winter, my wife she had a lot of colds and stuff like that. So this was probably too much off the table. I didn't get a chance to wear it a lot, but it also wasn't one of the ones that I was like reaching for a lot. So it's good. It's not bad. It doesn't rock my socks, but maybe I need to give it some more wearings in the fall. That being said, if you want a good profile of what Western oud smells like, that is to say, I don't think this smells like actual oud. I haven't smelled real oud, but by all accounts, it's not really that oudy. Well, traditional oudy. But I could be wrong. You tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Does this smell like real oud? I think it smells good. I think it's interesting. It's different from anything I've smelled, but yeah, okay. Okay, next up we have Amethyst, which is a clone, I believe, of Atomic Rose from Initio. Never smelled that one either. I will say of this one, I think this is decidedly more feminine than the last one. Again, this is a really interesting smell. It's like, I think they're doing like an oud and rose thing with this, and it's a really jammy, juicy rose. It's not a very soft, lilting Delina rose. It smells really good, and I will say this is like a monster. This is one of the biggest performers that I have in my entire collection. If I spray this on a test strip, I will smell it in my office for days. Same thing, I gave a sample on this to my mother because she wanted to smell it. She said the same thing, that she could smell it for days in her house, which is not a bad thing. This is a great smell, but it suffers from the same problem of the first one, which is, yeah, they all smell great. They perform outstandingly. The presentation is really, really good, and I don't wear them that much. This one I think is a little bit more obvious. It's a little feminine, and it's a little too powerful as a bed scent, I think, for me. So I don't wear this one typically because I think it would come across head-cockingly. People would like do this. Anyone who knows me would smell it and be like, I know you're eccentric, but that's a little bit weird. So All right, now we're ripping through into the more recent releases. I think both of these came out this year. If not, it came out at the very end of last year, but I'm pretty sure this came out this year, and that's Sublime. I think this kind of marks the point in the line where it's a departure. I don't think, at least I haven't heard any good suggestions as to what this might be a clone for. So if they're cloning something, kudos to them for doing something so obscure that no one can tell what it is. This is, like the color would suggest, it's a giant fruity fruit punch. I think, again, maybe it leans a little bit more feminine, but it's weird because like it's hard to say that this is one's gendered one way or the other. It's fruity, it's a little bit floral, it's very sweet, but none of the traditional hallmarks of masculine in fragrances. But I could only see a guy wearing this in the spring and the summer maybe, but I don't know. Again, not a bad scent. Like this one because it's unique. I think it's a good smell. I wore it a handful of times. It's a little bit linear. This doesn't change much in the dry down. So if the idea of kind of a lip smackers, because there's like this waxy element to it of like lip smackers to me. This is like a like a couple times a year, reach for it just to wear it for a little while because you want to smell it, but don't know. It's not really, it doesn't really like grab my heart and soul, you know? I don't want to completely cut my conclusion off, but this is a very strange line to me because I don't feel like I have a lot to complain about in terms of the presentation, the quality of the juice, the price. There's just something about it. It's just not grabbing me. So the most recent one, Honor and Glory, I actually think this is probably the strongest in the line. And this one, I think, gets described primarily in terms of its pineapple brulee, and there is quite a bit of discussion around the web. It seems like about what this is cloning. I've heard Ani, Hasivat. I've never smelled those again. So when I smell this, I actually think that they did a pretty good job doing a pineapple brulee. There's kind of a burnt sugar. I get kind of that kind of bitter astringency that you get from pineapple, you know, the whole, it's digesting you as you're digesting it sort of thing that pineapple has because it has those enzymes. Yeah, I think this is probably the best work out of this line. It's a unique scent. It's got depth to it. It's got some richness to it. This one to me feels like it's probably worth the hype more than any of the other ones. I will definitely wear this one, though it's interesting. It has this like this burnt fruity sort of thing going on, the sugar, the sweetness. And normally I would think that this would be like spring, summer, but with that caramelized sort of sugary thing going on, it's an interesting maybe take on a fall and winter fragrance. I think it's powerful enough for it too. So I would actually say this one is probably worth the hype and worth checking out. The problem is that you can't really get samples of these, so you just have to be pot committed. That being said, if the idea of kind of a creamy pineapple brulee with a little bit of depth and richness and things like that sounds appealing, I think Honor and Glory is one worth checking out, and I would recommend that one. I think it's probably, if I'll just do a ranking right now. I think this is number one. I think Oud for Glory is number 2, Sublime is number 3, Amethyst number 4. But I'd also say that I think they're all within a few points of each other, because I don't think Amethyst being in 4th place is fitting for the quality of the juice. That is, like I said, one of the most crazy performers that I have in my entire collection. It just suffers from being one that I just don't really want to wear that much, but I don't know. I think there's a little bit of an element of people getting hyped up with the quality of the clone and not stopping to go, is this something that I should have cloned to begin with? Maybe. I guess, you know, here's the thing. Sold like hotcakes, and I think all of these have. But I think they're also suffering a little bit from being overhyped. I think all of these are actually fairly decent scents. They're reasonably priced. I mean, for the performance, they're pretty well priced, actually. But I think they got oversold. And my expectations for all of them was too high. So it's getting to know them is more of a process of resetting expectations so that you're kind of matching what you're smelling. Good scents. They don't rock my world. They fit a unique spot in my collection. And to their credit, I would say of the last two, I don't think they're really clones. So points to Lattafa for doing something a little bit unique, even if they are a clone, even if this is a clone of Ani or Hasavad or whatever, it's doing enough of a twist where people are like, I don't think so. So, what's the point? Well, I would say for the case of like a lot of these ones where I don't know how you can smell them, samples, and this is like on Lattafa scale a little bit more expensive because the Lattafas usually end up, you know, $20 to $30, and I think this was like closer to 40 or 50. It's not a bad price. Again, it's a good scent, and people respond positively to it, but I'm starting to get to this point where I'm like getting a little bit more discerning, looking at the stuff that I'm spending money on, going, okay, I actually want to find stuff that is like inspiring to me, that like kind of lights a fire inside. And these were useful for discovery. If I had to do it over, would I buy them again? Probably not. Am I going to buy future releases in this line that will undoubtedly come out? Probably. And the reason why is because I'm a completionist, and these are not that high of a bar. I think they're mildly interesting. So for someone in my position that's doing this kind of thing, I think it kind of makes sense. For someone who's just has a collection and they just want good smells, I think they're overhyped a little bit. I think there's more interesting stuff. I think the Maison Alhambra line is more interesting. I think Lattafa, under their own name, also has more interesting stuff going on. I don't know. Clones are interesting, and they're doing an unbelievably good job recently. But I think they got to work on their selection and start picking more interesting things to clone. Especially considering that I think if you're buying Lattafa and stuff like that, yeah, they're on Amazon, they're very popular, but there's an element of, there's an enthusiast level that you have to be at in order to be even knowing about this stuff, knowing who Initio is and all that stuff. They can take more ambitious reaches with what they're cloning, I think, is my point. And I would be interested to see that. I'm kind of tired of smelling clones of the same thing over and over again. I feel like I'm being hyper negative on this one. They're fine. They're overhyped, I think. They're fine. They're fine. I think that's honestly the best way. Like, whenever I think about these, I think, no, they're not bad. They're fine. They're fine. They're good. They're fine. It's fine. Like, the Honor and Glory, it's a little bit better than fine. The other ones are fine. This one's intriguing. I don't know, the kind of bitterness though. There's like an edge of it where it keeps it just like, it's like a cat that you're holding, and like if you get too close, the cat like puts a paw on you to push you away. That's like what's going on with this fragrance. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. I know this is one of the most hyped lines in fragrances, and it seems like every time I see someone talking about it, they are just gushing about it. I think that's funny, especially with the amount of hype that I saw on Sublime from mostly male reviewers. There's no way they're smelling that thinking, boy, I want to smell like this. They may be smelling it thinking, I want my wife or my girlfriend to smell like this. But I side-eye any guy who thinks that Sublime is like a strong masculine scent. It's not. It's unisex, arguably. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I want to hear what you guys have to think. I'll see you next week, and stay on keeping on. Bye.